Hey guys, episode 4 of our Wellsburg renovation project. Last time we walked through pre-drywall phase and showed you what all went into going behind the drywall. Now drywall's on and we're gonna show you our millwork phase and some products that we're using on the exterior of the house. So we've installed these Marvin All-Trex windows, previously known as the Marvin Integrity series. They are a full fiberglass window. These ones we've chosen a full black exterior with a full black interior, and then we left the jambs off. So now we're using a primed jamb extension on the inside. But to talk a little bit how the window's installed, we properly put our sill pan and flashings down. And then we install our window, put some silicone around the outside of the window flange before you put it on, just the top and sides, leaving the bottom off. Then you properly shingle tape the window with specified tape that your manufacturer of your house wrap coincides with, and window manufacturer. So we put that on, shingle it properly, overlap our house wrap over top of it, leaving the bottom open so it can drain. So all windows drain or leak, and so that's why we want to leave the bottom off, so any water that does get in has a way out. Then we come in and we spray foam around the inside of the window. We might put some caulking over top of that, depending on how good of a job we did spray foaming it. Now what that does, it creates a negative air space for the water to drain through the bottom now. So that water that's getting in is now coming out and draining through the bottom. So that's how we install the window. Now come inside, drywall's on, and we're gonna trim it out. So we're using these extension jambs. It's a pre-primed popular product, finger jointed material. We measure everything. We come and build it on our bench, a big picture frame. We pocket screw it and glue it together, and then we pre-assemble also the window casing, and we pocket screw, glue, nail that together. And then we marry the casing to the extension jamb on the workbench still. And once that's all done, we take that, we place it in as one big picture frame essentially, and nail it to the wall once we've measured and we know we're centered up on our window. So now that our casing and window extensions on, we go through and we'll bondo any miter corners. We caulk the casing to the wall everywhere. We go through and vinyl spackle all of our nail holes, then we come back with a sander and a dust collector, and we come through and sand all our miter joints and sand everything up so it's nice, even, and consistent finish. So then our painter will come through and paint this all in place, which gives us a far more superior finish rather than installing a pre-finished product and having to try and color match and nail fill to your white, which in my opinion, you're always gonna see your nails, you always see the touch-ups. So this is why we have to do it like this. It's a far more superior finish at the end of the day. So a little bit about the process and why we've chosen to do things the way we have. We have painted, we primed, and then we painted one coat on our walls. And now we come through into our millwork phase. We choose that way because when we're installing our trim, sometimes the drywallers don't get the drywall completely tight around our window jamb, and we have to screw and suck that in, and that can cause some drywall popping onto the screws. So then we have to go back and touch up some drywall here and there. So that allows us to more easily touch up that drywall without having already a finished wall, and it allows for a nicer millwork finish. The other thing that does is now we're putting our floors in after our drywall and paint and millwork's done. So there's still a little bit of touch-up factor there, but now it's not a liability of getting paint or drywall or anything like that over our finished floors. And so it creates a safer work environment for us. We don't have to worry about damaging products as much. And at the end of the day, it creates a nicer finish when it's all said and done. So we're standing in the kitchen area. Before, this is pretty congested and cluttered space, so we've really opened it up. We haven't necessarily added a lot more cabinet space. We have, but we've opened it up and gave them lots more counter space that's usable now. So how we're gonna deal with our ceiling transition problem here that we talked about earlier, since we didn't fur down the entire living room space, that kind of seemed more difficult. We're going to add some fake faux wooden beams on the ceiling. So so we have this one reference point that we have to put our first one. Then we'll just evenly space them out just in the kitchen area. So it'll now be kind of an accent piece that will liven up the product, give us some more depth and color since we're adding a natural wood product into this white space, and just kind of dress it up. So that's how we're dealing with our ceiling transition, is by just adding some fake beams, and it'll take your eye away from that now, and it'll probably be pretty inconspicuous once we're done. We're gonna put a veneer brick backsplash on over this wall. Since we didn't have much wall space for upper cabinets, we have a few over our fridge area that go clear to the ceiling. But we have 2 windows and we have a range hood in between the 2 windows. So we're doing a veneer brick backsplash clear to the ceiling. And the other thing we're working with here is that we have our outlets already in with our pre-existing windows. We didn't move these, so we're stuck. So there's not a lot of space for trim. So this is one of those areas you kind of have to think about it. How do you make it look nice without making it look weird? So these jambs are loose. We're waiting until we have our veneer brick on site. Then we will cut these to proper depth. And we're gonna bring our brick veneer and die into our extension jamb. So there'll be no casing. We're just gonna leave this extension jamb proud to a slight reveal into our brick veneer. We'll round over both these edges, and it'll just be a nice thin little detail line around our windows. Not taken away now from our brick backsplash also. I'm kind of emphasizing the backsplash more in this area than our window trim. So the other thing we can do in this millwork phase is our built-in. So here we have just a little coat rack right off the entryway. And so we treat this just the same way as we do our any other casings. We pre-assemble it and we come in and install it, and we're caulking it to the wall or bondoing anything that needs puttied up, sanding it, rounding it over. It'll just flow with the trim, and it won't look like a different piece that we bought and placed on the wall. It just looks like it was meant to be there. So I'm standing in the living room, and as you can see in the shot, this is a long space. Now that we've opened it up, you can see clear to the back of the house where the dining room will be. So one thing we have to think about here is our floor and getting it level and working out. Since we're remodeling, we're not new, we didn't have perfect height, stuff was off from the original house to the addition. So what we've done is we had the plane down some parts of the floor, we poured some self-leveler in places where needed, and now we're putting down a 1/2 inch subfloor underlayment rather than a 1/4 inch, just to give us that more stability and just float those spaces where the imperfections were. So now when we lay our floor down, it'll be a nice, more consistent space over top of that, because we're using an LVT product to finish this, and that LVT product is a thinner product, and so it really shows all the imperfections below. So if you don't take the time in prepping before that, the LVT product will show that once the light's bouncing off it. So it's just taking the time quick. It's not that big of a deal. Doesn't take much extra time, but it's an important step that you don't want to miss when you have a long space like the one we have here. So this is our siding product. It's called Everlast. It's a fully composite cellular PVC product. So this is they're board and batten style. So it's a vertical siding. So the back of it does have drainage built in also. So now we've paired that with this drainage mat. We've actually probably got about a 3mm drainage space behind our siding. So how this works, it's got the batten pre-attached to the siding, and it clips and locks in over to your one screw side. So you screw or nail on the one side and you clip and lock it in. So why I like this is it locks in top and bottom to where sometimes they just lock in over the top and you kind of get some flap and some play in it. So this locks it in, creating a tighter seal. So the reason we chose this product, it is a newer product. It hasn't really been used a lot in our area. So we're kind of the guinea pigs with it, so say, but they wanted the vertical board and batten siding look. And we know what upkeep standard wood all involves, and the extra costs that we would have to do with all that. So if we would use a standard cedar board and batten, cut it, nailed it onto the wall, it would have been more expensive for one, and then you have more maintenance and upkeep, to where this is gonna be a little more maintenance and free. They do make some vinyl products that are vertical board and batten as well, but we just want to stay away from that. Vinyl's not all bad. It's a pretty solid, stable product. It does grow. You have to account for that, which is fine, but you know, we live in Iowa and there's hailstorms and windstorms. And so hail and wind isn't going to affect this. It's not going to blow it off. You could throw a baseball with this product and it's going to stand up to it and not break or shatter. So that's why we've opted to use this siding product on this project. So now we're outside and we're talking about some exterior stuff. So this house wrap that we're using is called Hydro Gap. We've opted to use this because it's got a built-in drainage mat to it. So most manufacturers recommend having a drainage space or an air gap behind your siding so it can dry. So that's why we've used this. It's got a pre-attached dimple mat essentially on it. It's only 1 millimeter thick, but we're using a composite PVC product. So it's a man-made, since it's a composite man-made product, it's not like wood where it's going to grow and it needs a larger airspace. So the smaller airspace will be sufficient enough for the product that we're using. That's something you really need to think about is how big of an air gap do we have behind our siding and what kind of siding are we marrying up with it. So now we're using the full PVC product. So we just trimmed out our windows with regular standard, like an AZEK 1x4 trim. We pre-assembled those just like we're pre-assembling our casing on the inside. So we use this J channel to hide our cuts on our windows. And now at the bottom, any horizontal surface, we're using just a metal drip cap to protect that PVC product. So even though it's PVC and it's not going to rot away, we're just treating this like a standard wood application. Since we're using kind of a newer product, they don't have full product guides out for yet. So we're just treating this like we would if we're putting up a wood siding, just to make sure that our bases are covered. So recap for this episode, we've talked about our millwork and finishing and kind of our processes there. We've talked about some of the products we've used outside. Next time we check in with you, we should be completed and we'll kind of give you a tour and you'll get to see the final product of what it all looks like. Another thing, if you don't know, I'm wearing the Iowa Skilled Trades hat. They're obviously an organization based here in Iowa that supports the younger generations and tries to get them involved in the trades. As we all know, there's a shortage of skilled labor. So if you want this hat or any other merchandise, you can go to their website, iowaskilledtrades.com, and you can find this there along with other merchandise and support the cause. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.